Welcome then to this session as we take a look at searching CINAHL on the new EBSCOhost user interface. And I know none of you may have attended the session on Medline, you may have attended the sessions on the Hub, etc., and other sessions that I've run previously. But for those who've not met me before or aware of what I do, I am Richard Crooks. I'm a senior customer training specialist with EBSCO. Joined back in July, having been previously working with EBSCO for 13 years. I live in the East Midlands. I'm a chartered librarian by profession, having worked in NHS library services for about 12 years in different roles. And I currently doing training essentially for EBSCO customers in the UK and Ireland, and occasionally also in the Nordics as well. So glad you could join us in this webinar this afternoon. In terms of what we plan to cover, we'll look at some of the new interface features for CINAHL on the new UI. We'll look at the live demonstration, going through basic advanced search options, looking at the CINAHL subheadings, the application of filters, limiters that are available on the new interface, and also tools that where you can cite, save, and export search results. And time permitting, we can have some questions at the end. Obviously, you can use the Teams chat for any comments, questions, feedback about the new interface as arises during the course of this webinar. Or if I need to clarify some of the features that I'm showing, then please feel free to post in the Teams chat. I have been collating those questions and providing definitive responses post-session as well. So they're all useful to help your colleagues for the future going forward. So in terms of the actual training objectives, I hope that by the end of the session, within the next hour, you'll be able to, of course, recognize and locate new features of the EBSCOhost interface. You'll also be able to understand how to execute basic and advanced searches on the new platform. That includes the use of CINAHL subject headings, the filters and limiters that are currently available. And also be able to access and use various tools within the EBSCOhost interface to manage your research results, etc. So you will find, of course, if you've attended the Medline session, there are a lot of similarities between the two sessions. Obviously, we are looking at two different databases, but a lot of the changes are impacting both, but we will touch on some unique ones as well. So in terms of CINAHL, for the benefit of those who may not be aware of CINAHL or have not used it widely in the past, occasionally we do have students joining these sessions as well. And of course, there may be those who are listening to the recording later on who may not be familiar with this database. So just to clarify then, we are looking at the cumulative index of nursing and allied health literature, which covers all nursing and allied health specialties. So the likes of cardiovascular nursing, critical care nursing, nuclear medicine, occupational therapy, pediatric nursing, physiotherapy, psychiatric nursing as well. And of course, it also features content related to health science librarianship, which may not be so widely known. We're not going to look at that topic today, but you can explore the database in your own time in relation to that particular area. Now, I had to add here, although we've built this session as CINAHL, and we are going to focus on the basic abstract in its only version, which is available nationally in the NHS in England, also in Scotland, in other sectors. Others of you, especially in the academic sector, you may have upgraded to CINAHL Plus full text, or CINAHL Complete, or you may have access to CINAHL Ultimate. So big difference there is that you will have access to more active full text, current journals that are full text, plus non-embargo titles. And in the case of CINAHL Complete and CINAHL Ultimate, you also have access to the nursing videos as well. And of course, evidence-based care sheets and quick lessons. I won't go into details in relation to those particular features today, but the bottom line is, whichever version of CINAHL you currently have access to as a user or as a librarian, and you provide access to it to your users, the principles, what we're looking at, will be applicable across all versions at this stage. So let's look at the new features and interface enhancements for the new EBSCOhost UI, as it were. And the first thing I want to point out to you, again, some of you may have heard this before, there is a new URL structure with the interface. And the bottom line here, it means that the browser address bar URL for any page is now a permalink. So with the classic version, which I know some of you still are accessing up until probably the end of this year, you have not migrated yet, there is a dedicated link that you need to select for that. Now it's the browser address bar URL. So again, that's a change. That's something more intuitive for end users, and that's been well received so far. In addition, there's an ongoing effort, to support accessibility across this platform. So you will notice there's a lot of white space on the new EBSCOhost, as there is for the new EBSCO Discovery Service. These interfaces are responsive. They're intended to be used on different sized devices, so whether you're using a mobile, a tablet, or desktop or laptop. There is a simplified design. Again, it goes back to the amount of white space on the interface to reduce the cognitive load for users. We have auto-suggest, auto-correct features included. Easy to access quick filters, as we'll see. There's also the support for accessible ebook formats, including EPUB and DRM-free content. We have headings and landmarks for screen reader navigation. So if you're using JAWS, etc., it would support that. There's also more descriptive text for images and non-text formats within the database, and also transcripts for videos. Again, this will be applicable primarily to like CINAHL Ultimate, CINAHL Complete, where there are nursing videos. And we also have the text-to-speech software, which in contrast to the classic version, which again, some of you are still using, not only does that support audio files for HTML full text, but also the MP3 downloads for PDF content as well. So it's been rolled out not only to HTML online full text, but also the PDF documents also. And in addition to that, we provide machine translation into multiple languages for articles that are available online as well. And that's provided by Microsoft, and we'll see some examples of that as we go through the session. There's also, of course, an ongoing effort to support globalization. As you can appreciate, as an international company, we provide databases around 400 worldwide, and we try to endeavor to support the main languages that are out there. The most recent one that's been added is Hindi, and you can see a screenshot here of the EBSCOhost interface with the navigation panel, etc., translated accordingly. So typically, of course, it's going to be available in English here in the UK. However, you can go to the My EBSCO personal account, and in preferences, you can select your preferred language if English is not your first language, or if you just simply want to, use it in another language, as it were. Now, the content, of course, will remain the same. Whatever the language of the article is, that will remain the same. But basically, we're talking about the navigation options, the features that are there built into the system will be translated into the appropriate language. So again, if any of you have students, of course, new students, first-year students who are adjusting to the English language and they want to, use the resource in their own language, then they can switch to it even temporarily. Now, we do have a variety of limiters to filter your search results, and one of the most exciting ones we feel is the use of location of practice. So some of you would have used CINAHL for many years, perhaps, and would have had this issue with geography, the geographic subset option, which essentially limits content based on country publication. So it could be from the British Journal of Nursing, it could be from the World of Irish Nursing and Midwifery, and that's all well and good. The articles may well be related to a UK population, but they may not be. They could be research carried out in other parts of the world. Now, with location of practice as a filter, it will limit your results to articles, to dissertations, to book chapters, etc., relating specifically to the United Kingdom in terms of the research carried out, the population group, etc. Okay. Now, I don't know about Ireland, if we have anyone from Ireland at the moment on this webinar. I'm not sure how that will fit in at this stage, but basically it uses the CINAHL subject terms for these territories, for these countries, continents, etc., to determine the location of practice. So, and you can see on that listing, United Kingdom is there. So we have Africa, the Americas, Asia, Australia, etc., Europe, and then also country specific, for example, Spain, United Kingdom, United States, and so on. So we'll see how that works in practice. In addition, we have the Pico search app. Again, this has been rolled out for Medline. It's also applicable to the EBSCO Discovery Service, and it has the additional option of T or time or type of study. So how long will it take to reach the desired outcome? What types of studies are needed in terms of the response to a clinical question? So Pico, of course, is the framework used to address a research question, a clinical question typically, with population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. Of those 5 fields, only population and intervention are required. The others are optional. So you may not have a comparative treatment or procedure, and the outcome may be implied. So again, we'll see that active shortly in the live demonstration. Now, we do have generative AI insights, so you may ask about what AI elements are now being incorporated by EBSCO. We're quite cautious about this and taking our time to embed certain features in the resources, and one of which is generative AI insights. So you have these 2 to 5 point key summaries of full text documents, by the way. So it's generated by prompting a large language model to summarize insights from the selected article. So the selected article must be full text available. So it won't summarize another abstract, for example. So it kind of complements the abstracts, but it does provide bulleted key points for each document. And of course, that can assist the users reduce their time spent searching for relevant full text articles, and would also facilitate a rapid review of content as well. So the AI Insight prompt uses the RAG method, the retrieval augmented generation. So the intention there to reduce hallucinations, irrelevant content, etc. And also EBSCO does periodically review a representative sample of AI insights with subject matter experts for the human in the loop intervention. They will check for bias, tone, accuracy, and timeliness of insights as well. And you can also feedback whether the summary was useful or otherwise on the screen. We may not see that today in the demonstration, but just want to make you aware of that. If you're interested, please contact your local EBSCO account team and they can enable that for you. There's no cost to that, by the way. The other AI element is the AI-empowered natural language search mode. So that will complement likes of find all my search terms, find any search terms that you'll be familiar with when searching the database or proximity searching. But natural language search allows users to search using everyday terminology in the form of a question or a statement. So for it to work effectively, it has to be a question or in a statement form. Okay, so it streamlines information retrieval. You're using everyday language, so it's very intuitive, and it reflects the common familiar experiences with tools like Siri, Alexa, Google, and so on. Now, with this particular feature, just to let you know, it is enabled in the admin tool EBSCO Experience Manager. So currently, CINAHL, Medline, other databases have two admin tools to administer them. Obviously, if you're a student, you're a user, you would not have any involvement in the administration. But if you're a librarian, you're a library administrator, and you're responsible for setting up these databases for your users, then this is a feature that is defaulted to hidden, can be made visible, and it can be made a default search mode if necessary for a given profile. Okay, the actual label natural language search, by the way, is not editable. So that is also available through the advanced search screen as a search mode. So there is an option within basic search to toggle on for the natural language search mode, and you can form the question, run the search in that mode, or you can go to the advanced search page, which we'll go to shortly for the live demonstration, and you can select it as a search mode within search options. So again, provided that's been enabled within EBSCO Experience Manager. And for those who are based in England, it has been, and I'm sure a number of academic institutions also. Now, more recently, we've had this option to add additional metadata within the result list, within detailed records, within the records on the result list. So now you'll see the volume number, the issue number, page numbers, and page count for articles displayed. So highlighted as you see here in this screenshot. So that was released this month and is now live and available. So that's the kind of the most recent addition in terms of the enhancements to the interface, with more to come this month. So that is just a kind of review of CINAHL and also some of the key interface features, some of which we'll be looking at this afternoon. So I will now go to the live demonstration, which will spend most of the time there. So let me just go and share my screen here. And in a moment, you should come to the desktop for my demo, as it were. And this is typically the entry point for most users of CINAHL. It may vary, especially in the academic sector, where you may have a more basic search deployed for your undergraduates, for example. So it provides you with this kind of single search box with these filters below. You also have the natural language feature here, so you can switch that on and make use of that here if you wish as well. So if you want to use natural language, then simply you can just put in this question here. So what are the standards of care for pressure ulcers? Okay, so you can just enter in the form of questions I mentioned. Okay, and then you would bring back results accordingly. Okay, and you can see there we've got over 3,000 references there, and you can see here the National Wound Care Strategy, etc. That's Publishing Wounds UK. Of course, you can filter. We've got some in other languages, of course, here as well. So you can filter if you want to restrict it to English only, of course. Then you can go in and go to all filters, these quick filters, and then you can specify you want English here and apply that there. So you can, of course, filter your results even based on the original query. Now, what you also will see when you use the natural language search, whether you do it from the basic search screen, as I've just done, or from the advanced search page, which we'll see in a moment, you have the option to view the actual query. So you may wonder, how is this query being constructed? I put the question in. Obviously, it's picked up key terms, but how is it constructed the actual search? So you can see here, show refined query by the result list, and then you can see the Boolean logic for this. So pressure ulcers or bed sores combined with and standards or guidelines or recommendations, etc. So it's constructed the query based on those terms and provided results below. Now, if you were to use the natural language search in a way of, for example, if you just put in pediatric nursing, it would not necessarily work. It needs to be in a form of a question or a statement. Okay, so bear that in mind. Okay, so that's just a brief preview of the natural language search. Again, if we go to new, if we click new search on the left there, and you'll see I've still got my query here at the moment. I can go to search options and I can use natural language search from this page as well. Okay, so that's currently visible. The default search, by the way, for CINAHL is proximity. Okay, so if you're unclear about any of the search modes, what they actually do, go to EBSCO Connect, and the context-sensitive help menu will detail the search modes and what they're actually doing. So for proximity searching, by default, it will search with words in any order you enter them in within a specified word range. So the example here, web, N5 accessibility means it'll find the word web near 5 words or less of accessibility, plus where accessibility appears near 5 words or less of web in any order. Now, for those who work in England in the NHS, that has been tweaked, has been reconfigured as a phrase search. So proximity itself has been relabeled as phrase, and the actual syntax used within the NHS in England would be W0 within 0. So that means you'd have to search for words in the order they're entered. So if you entered childhood obesity, with that configuration, it would find the terms childhood obesity where they are a phrase. Okay, so it's possible to make some changes to it. Obviously, for national organizations like the NHS, they're agreed at a head office level, as it were, and that's rolled out across the nation for those institutions. For individual institutions, you may have responsibility for your administration of the interface, so you can make changes that reflect what's best for your users, as it were. Okay, you've got other ones here. Find all, that's to be used for our discovery service that inserts the and operator. Smart text searching can be quite useful if you're struggling to find search results, but you do find a few and you find a particularly relevant article. Then when you select smart text searching, and I'll just show that here on the interface, I'll just clear it here, by the way. If you select smart text searching, then you could paste an abstract or paragraph here and run the search, and it would identify the key terms and construct a query and then bring back results relevant to that particular article. So it could be an option if you're struggling to find content, as it were. Going through this platform, though, just to clarify then some of the key elements here. So we just had a quick look at the natural language search, the AI-empowered natural language search, or NLS. But you've got the multiple rows here, so you can enter terms on individual rows. You've got the Boolean operators combine and or not. You can add more rows. In fact, you can add up to 12 here, so you can enter terms line by line and combine them with the appropriate operator. We've also got the field codes that you can select from. So by default, you're running an unqualified field code search. So in other words, you're searching across a range of fields, but not necessarily all of them. And you can see here all fields, and you can see the listing there. So notice on this page, you have this drop down, we have XB. That's also a new feature for the interface. The new interface, we're now providing a way to simultaneously search title and abstract fields. And it will be whether the term appears in the title or abstract, not necessarily whether they only appear in both fields. Okay, so that's XB, the field code, and now others here as well. In addition to that, we saw basic search. We've got the Pico app, which we'll look at later. So again, we saw that the screenshot of that in the PowerPoint. There's also the filters below as well. So you can see a range of filters that you can apply. And I mentioned location of practice, and you can see that is here. Okay, so you can see location of practice, which features the United Kingdom. And notice we have geographic subset. This is related to country publication. And for this, we combine UK and Ireland, or UK and Irish journals. Okay, so again, that's country publication. In addition, so search options we looked at, there's also these expanders as well. If you work in the NHS in England, these may well, but all three may well be on, or they may be hidden. Again, if you want more information on what these do, how they expand your search, primarily looking at the source terms, the index terms, in this case, single subject headings, but also, there's an option to search within the full text of the articles. Again, potentially useful if your users, if you struggle to find content, then you expand the search to search directly within the full text book chapter, report, article, etc. So again, if any more information on this is hosted on EBSCO Connect. I think we may have a question here, so I'm going to just respond here. Yes, Kate, good question there. Am I understanding correctly that even though the drop-down menu select defaults to all fields, this is the same as the previous UI unqualified search? That's correct. Yes. As far as I know, that is correct. It does say all fields. I can show you toward the end maybe the database help file, which would clarify that. Okay, so we've archived the help files that are still relevant to the database, so they're not available directly through the interface as were before, but they've been archived on the EBSCO Connect platform. So we'll look at that in a moment. Okay, so yeah, I think it would be the same option. So good observation there. So these are the expanders. Again, I can leave you to look at that in more detail. You can look at that live when you go to the site and link directly to that page. Okay. So basically, I think with the reason behind, not having a dedicated help menu within the interface now is that it makes much more sense to update EBSCO Connect. You're linking to it directly from the help menu, and that's the main support site, rather than having a separate help menu for the specific database, which then needs to be updated. So the information is still available, still accessible, but it's coming through EBSCO Connect directly via the help menu, either the context-sensitive help, where you see EBSCO Connect on this page under search options, or the help menu under research tools. Okay, so the help menu here, by the way, will actually take you to the quick start guide for the interface. And also you can go to the home to view EBSCO Connect in its entirety, but this will give you more information about using the new interface as well. And while I'm here, I may as well point this out since Kate brought this up. You have the database help at the bottom there, and if I click that link, it will block it for me. Oh no, not at this stage, but it does block it. So if I go to CINAHL here now, so you choose the appropriate database, CINAHL, and on here it does this block, but I can go into this, click on that link, and then save the file, and then I can open it up as a PDF document. So this is the help file. This is the help file for CINAHL. So this is what would have been available and updated with the classic interface. It's now a PDF document here from EBSCO Connect, and you can see here if we scroll down. In fact, let me double check here. Yeah, okay. If we go through this, you'll see the default fields for unqualified searches. So as was raised by Kate there. So an unqualified search within CINAHL would look at all those fields. So without choosing any field code, you enter your keyword search terms, free text, you're searching across those fields. Okay. So I'm assuming that all fields, as it says currently, doesn't mean literally all fields, it just means these ones. I can clarify that with our product management team, because again, it's the terminology that's being used, but my understanding that this is still applicable. Okay. So go, and then you'll see the field codes below as well that are available, and the description of each, and so on. So again, that's available through the help menu via the quick start guide. So you have to scroll down to the bottom of the page for that. Okay, so just to clarify then, some additional features here. Publications, unlike the classic version, publications is now a tab on this advanced search page, and you won't see that link across the top of the screen anymore. It's now here. And of course, this allows you to search for publications in CINAHL. So for example, you can type in British Journal Nursing. You can also do match any word or subject and description, and you'll see that appearing here, and you click through to it. You can view the metadata, you can search within the publication, and you can browse the issues here as well. Okay, we will come back to that a bit later. In addition, there is another option to get to publications, that is under Research Tools, Publications Authority. It will take you back to that page, which should do. Maybe I'm too quick here. Oh, maybe it's because I'm already on this page. Interesting. In fact, if I go to recent activity and go publication authority. Yeah, I think because I'm on that page, it doesn't do that for some reason, but the publication authority will take you to publications. Okay, and then CINAHL headings here. So CINAHL headings, again, is what you'd expect. It's the index terms. It's the subject tree used in the headings that are assigned to identify content coverage with references indexed in this database. Publications, resource articles, etc. And so, if you're looking for something, then, for example, if you're looking at bowel cancer, then you can browse the thesaurus. So if I put bowel cancer here and search, then you'll see the prompt there to use colorectal neoplasms. So this is the official index term to identify articles, reports, etc. related to bowel cancer. So you would then click through to this. You'd see the scope note for this condition, what it's used for. So you could type either, if you typed colorectal cancer, you would be pointed to this topic. Okay, you'll see what was used before in 1989. So colonic neoplasms, etc. You can see related headings as well, and also below that you see the hierarchy of terms within the CINAHL subject tree as well. So you can see it sits under intestinal neoplasms, gastrointestinal diseases, and digestive system diseases. And of course, it would also include colonic neoplasms if you select and explode the term there. Okay. And if you wanted to run a search purely on that index term, you can then click add to search, and it would add it to the top search box there. And you see the syntax here, MH as the exact subject heading in CINAHL, and then the plus sign to indicate it's exploded to include colonic neoplasms as well. We'll come back to that in a moment when we're running a search. So I'm just going to clear the screen again and also point out to you on the left-hand column, we've got the My Dashboard feature here. So now this gets a bit confusing for some, I know. Projects and saves. So projects is a area where you can customize. You can create a custom folder, and we'll do that later. And you can save your search and your articles to that custom folder. So for example, if you're supporting a user with a search, it can be an evidence search in the case of healthcare, and you have a deadline, for example, to run the search, save some articles, and forward them to the user, then you can create a project to identify, where the search is stored there. The articles are still stored there as well. By default, when you bookmark content, when you save content, it goes directly to the save folder. Okay, same thing here will be saved. Now, to use projects unsaved, you need to be signed into MyEBSCO. So MyEBSCO is you can see the link down the top right, and this is where you would sign in here. Okay, and if you don't have an account, you can create one here. Okay, we do support Google sign in, by the way. Otherwise, you can enter your first name, last name is not required, email address, create the password, note in the criteria, agree to the consent form, and you create the account. So this page has not changed really. It was released during the classic version, as it were, some time ago, and it's been inherited for the new UI. And once, of course, you've got the account created, you can use it straight away. You can click sign in, and then you can enter your username, and I'll do that now for sake of time. Okay. And it's applicable, of course, to Medline, CINAHL, the EBSCO Discovery Service as well. So it's one personal user account across the board, as it were. And you can see now I've got these saved articles. These are ones I've bookmarked from previous searches. And I've also got a search here, I think, a number of searches I've saved previously. So you may have seen these in my demos for Medline as well. So again, the standard default folder for saving items is the save folder. However, you can move them. For example, this search here, I can click the tools menu and I can add it to a project. If I don't have one, which I don't here, I have this one that's not relevant, I can create a new project here. So this is on smoking cessation. You can see I've done this before, and I can give it a due date. So it's a particular project I'm working on. It could be an assignment. If you're an end user, if you're a nurse, you've got an assignment, you can give it a deadline. If you're a librarian supporting end users, then you can add a due date if there's a deadline to get that content to them. So for example, if I go for the 3rd of November, and then also you can add a description here as well. Okay, so it could be for let's see, for senior nurse. I don't know. Just put someone in here, another or something, and then you can just create that. And then the project is saved. And if you go to projects, in fact, this has now been moved. Sorry. Yeah, I've got this new project I've created here. So if I click on that, you can see who it's for, the date created, and any records that I save can be saved here, and searches also. So you can move content to the project, and you can also save directly in the project, as we'll see. Oh yeah, another question. Thanks, Kate. Yeah, you're not the first one to mention this. Is it possible to delete a save search when it's no longer needed? I can't seem to find the option. So, okay, so within projects, I've got a search here. If I click the tools menu, you can see I can delete it here. Okay, so I can delete this search, which I'll do now. So that's gone. Okay, so within the project, I can also delete the project itself, by the way. So I can delete the whole project here. I get confirmation because the last thing you want to do is to do it when it's inadvertent, not intended. So you do get this prompt here. Are you sure you want to delete this project? And yes, I do. So delete. Okay, so you can delete from the projects folder. Likewise, if you go into recent activity, I think we can delete here. Yes, you can also delete. So recent activity just records what you're doing during the course of the session. As you can see, I've got the record of my natural language searches. So I'm not going to use these because I'm going to run some other searching in a moment. So I can delete these sets as well. Okay, so they're gone. Okay. Now, I think viewed records also, they're not there. We've not viewed any. Now, if you come to saved here, now this is where there's an issue, I think, because you cannot delete from this listing. So that's records and also searches. So, so basically at the moment, it's not giving you the option. I believe there are some changes taking place. I know there's a bulk search delete from search history coming. So I imagine that might also impact save searches as well. So basically, the bottom line is at the moment, in recent activity, in projects, you can delete your searches. Okay. But within the save folder, you cannot do that right now. Okay. But there's a bulk delete for the search history coming soon, even this month. So I could say, you would say a safe bet then would be probably if you save searches, etc., and you're still going to be using them later on, move it to the project, create a project, and then later on you can delete the project or delete the save search within projects. Okay. There is some talk about refining this as well to make it simpler. I've been in discussions with the product managers about this, so there will probably be more changes as more feedback comes out, etc. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, you can make a project, move it there, and then delete. Yeah. So there is a way to do it. Might not be immediately intuitive, but bottom line is in two of the three places, so recent activity, projects, you can delete searches. The only one you can is in the saved area presently. Okay, and so saved again, this is the default folder where you bookmark, save items, whether it's a record or search, and then recent activity is just logging. This is where you'll find the search history currently. It's logging what you're doing. And if you view any records, they will also be stored here for the duration of the session. Okay, and we have new search, of course, that just takes you back to this interface, to the default landing page. However, you've got that set up, you can default to the basic search screen, but I'd say most, in my experience, most organizations default to advanced search, but it may be varied. Help we saw before, publications authority we saw before, and then subheadings under a search tool takes you back to this page essentially. So you're already on there in any case. Okay, so if you're in, for example, if you're in saved here, and you want to go to the CINAHL headings, then you click CINAHL headings and it will take you to the appropriate tab within the advanced search screen. So these are kind of shortcuts. So there's more than one option to get to publications, more than one option to get to CINAHL headings. Okay, so that's just kind of a review of the features of the navigation within the interface, but we will run another search and we'll explore some of the filters as well as we do this. So we're going to go back to what I said originally about bowel cancer. I'll take it in two different ways. The first way is to combine a title and abstract search with the CINAHL heading. So if I could type in bowel cancer here, now as I type, you'll see there's the autocomplete feature. So autocomplete provides you with additional terms that you can use, and these are terms commonly used by users, not just within UK, Ireland, but outside, in the English-speaking world, as it were. And then you can just select a string of these, which I'll do just for the sake of time. So we'll look at bowel cancer and bowel cancer screening. And now I'm going to insert or choose from the field codes here, title and abstract. So in other words, I'm going to search for these terms as they appear in either the title or abstract field. Although it says and, we have fed back comments about this, it is simultaneously searching both fields, and it could be either or field, right? Now, I want to combine this with the subject terms. So if I go to CINAHL headings here, again, I'm going to go for bowel cancer and click search. And then you'll see, again, the term appears, and the suggested term, of course, the suggested heading is colorectal neoplasms. So if I click on that, I can select it from here. In fact, what I might do, yeah, so it's exploded here. And by the way, there are subheadings as well. So depending on the nature of the search you're doing, so if you're a nurse, for example, you have an oncology nurse, you have a particular assignment, it may not be a systematic review, but you may want to explore certain elements in relation to bowel cancer, for example, diet therapy, or if you're a dietitian, for example, you can select the subheading diet therapy to focus specifically on that aspect for bowel cancer, colorectal neoplasms, and for each of these subheadings, there is a scope note detailing what they cover, etc. So they can be used when necessary, of course. But once you've selected the term, you can combine it, add to search, but I would do, before I do this, I will select and switch the Boolean operator or, and then add to search, and then you'll see we'll be searching for these terms within the title or abstract field, plus retrieving any articles indexed with this CINAHL subject heading, and then we'll click search here. Now we're looking at bowel cancer screening, so we want to do screening as well. So again, I can also go back to my new search, or I can just to get back to the advanced search page, and I can now type in screening, etc. And again, just for the sake of time, I'll select from the drop-down menu there and choose title abstract, go to CINAHL headings, clear this, and I'll add screening. Okay, and search. So, and you'll see here again, it's prompted me to use health screening. This is the definitive subheading within CINAHL. So if I click health screening, you'll see again the scope note, what it's used for, and any related headings which could be of interest. So I can select from this menu, or I can scroll down, check the subject tree to see where this sits. So it's in the surveys, epidemiology, public health, and so on. And I can select this one. And then again, I can scroll to the top of the screen, select or, add to the search, and then combine the two sets there. So again, the title object search combined with the subject search, the CINAHL subject headings. So then once I've done that, I can then go to my recent activity, and I'll see the two sets are recorded here in the search history. Notice that they're sorted with the most recent first, newest, but if you want to see the sequence, so the logical sequence we've started with, then click the drop down and choose oldest, and now I'll see S1, bowel cancer, S2, screening, and then we can combine these two. Now, if you've been on this session back in August or possibly early September, you'd have seen a little icon up here, which looked a bit like a wishbone, very small and not really clear to users. That was removed based on feedback, and our developers came up with this option instead. So it's much more clear, a bit more explicit. You select the set numbers, and by the way, just to forewarn you, if you like, depending on how you've been set up with the interface, if you're using it currently, or if you will use it, always check to make sure the field above is clear of any search terms. So we do have a feature called clear find field after searching, which automatically removes the search string from the top search box, which means when you click combine with and, S1 and S2 appear here. If you do not have that feature enabled, what it would do is combine this search with the previous search, which makes a bit of a mess. Okay, so we had comments about this. So I have, for this demonstration, enabled clear find field after searching. It means the box is clear. It means I can select these two sets, combine with and you'll see S1 and S2 shown here. Okay, and then I'd run the search likewise there. Okay, and you see the results below. Now, we often get comments about editing searches as well. So how would you do that? If you go to recent activity on the left-hand column, And if you go into the tools menu and click search details, first of all, just to show you that you can see here, we've got the combined query, and you can copy this and paste it into a search box. Okay, so you can do that here. If you want to go in and edit a line of the search, think of this one, you will see here you can edit the search here. Okay, so if I want to add another term here, for example, then I can go and edit search. It takes me back to the search screen, and I can add, for example, or assessment. Okay, so I can factor that into the search, update the search, click continue, and if I cancel that and go back, you'll see now, let's see, or assessment. I've got that there now. I think I did. That's the one I did. So again, you can go in and edit these lines as needed, okay, as appropriate, and also cut and paste, copy the actual search. Okay, so that is the search. If you want to, again, you can move that to a project, for example. So for this search, I can just click on here and add this to a project. Again, if I don't have a project, I can create a new one. I can go in and I can just go at bowel cancer screening. Again, it might not have a due date, but create that. And again, if you go to projects, you'll see that stored there now. Okay, so I've now created that, which means when I look at my results, I can move or save items directly to the project folder, as it were. So if I go back in to new search here, in fact, I should have just gone to recent activity and refreshed there. So for example, these results now, if I want to save any of these results, then I can just go in, I can add to the project directly here for individual records, or I can select them all. You can see up to 50 per page. Then I can add all 50 to this project here. So I'm bypassing the save folder essentially, which obviously is pretty easier to manage content that way. Okay. Otherwise, you would typically go in and just bookmark, and that will save to the save folder specifically. Okay. Now with these results, of course, I can edit them. I can, refine them. So I've got the filters above. So linked full text. Linked full text simply means it will be full text content that could come from a range of providers or resources. They could be the libkey link resolver from Third Iron. It could be the full text finder link resolver from EBSCO. It could be open access content for the directory of open access journals. It could be another content PDF or online full text from another EBSCO's database. So if you subscribe, for example, to Medline Complete, and those articles, some of those articles are indexed in CINAHL, the links for those articles will be transferred to CINAHL as well. So you would see full text content here. Okay, so I can go for link full text, for example, as we will look at some full text shortly. We've got peer reviewed content. You might find the majority of references are peer reviewed in these databases. You'll see the annotation peer reviewed as well. We've got all time, so you can configure this to retrieve results from the past 5 years. There is a feature coming which will allow you to have a custom range on this menu too as well, by the way. So last 5 years, and again, source type, you'll see we've got a combination of items. We've got some magazines here, which may not be so useful for our research. Some books there. CEUs are continuing education units. So they basically feature some form of nursing assessment, some quiz, etc. So again, may not be so useful for our search. So we can opt for academic journals and possibly books as well, and click apply here. And if there are others you want to apply, you may think, well, what are others like language? What about subject headings? What about publication or publisher? Then go to all filters. Now, when you click all filters, you'll see this column appearing from the right side of the screen, my screen. You'll see it confirms that we use the proximity search. We've got these active filters. So we currently narrowed it down to results in the last 5 years. These are also full text, academic journals and books. We're using the expander, apply current subjects, and then you see other options such as language here. We've got subject headings. So these will be the CINAHL subject headings, and major indicates it's a primary focus of results. So again, you can select these if you wish. And then you've got publication, of course. And notice for each of these menus, there is not only the hit count sort by default, but also the option to sort alphabetically, which could be useful, of course, when searching for publications. For example, you see addiction there and so on. Publisher, likewise. And then you've got language again and age. So if we're looking for a particular population group, so for example, if we're looking at middle-aged adults, then we can select middle-aged here. Likewise with gender, we can go for female here. And you'll see geography here at this stage would limit you to country publication, by the way. So if I apply those filters now, you'll see the results come down. Okay, 622 records. Now, you may have noticed on this result list, I have the abstract, full abstract displayed. Now, typically that's not the case. I actually configured this to show the abstract up front. So some of you may prefer to see this. I know in the NHS, basically it's collapsed. So you would only see the brief 1 or 2 lines of the abstract itself. So these are quite lengthy, it seems. So you can see, for example, these records here, only the brief first 1 or 2 lines are shown. If you want to view more of the abstract, typically you click show more. So it is possible to configure the interface, the EBSCOhost for CINAHL to show the abstract up front. The downside of that is, of course, it does take up more space on the page. So when you're looking through this listing, it can be a bit more tiresome. It can be quite useful. Maybe you're working with a clinician, with a nurse, occupational therapist, for example, and they're just going through, skimming the abstract, etc., to see is this relevant to what they're looking for. But you may want to consider, should this be hidden as you can on here. Likewise, with the subheadings, you'll see item 8 here has these initial subheadings. You can see cancer screening courses related to our search, but then we've got 28 more here. So, and the intention here is really to reduce less clutter, to reduce the cognitive load on users. You can expand fields and then view them in their entirety, as it were. Okay. So again, those are displayed there. So I'm just going to keep my eye on the time here. So in terms of other features here, obviously you will have access to the full text where appropriate. You'll see access options. When you see that, it will give you the PDF or online full text. If you go to the PDF, that'll give you the actual, obviously, article in PDF format. So the original publication article, plus it will give you links to other articles within the same publication. You have the tools on the top right there. So the cite tool allows you to generate or copy the citation for this article. I've got Harvard as my default. Depending on where you are, you may want a Chicago or APA 7th edition or AMA, Vancouver. So that can be configured in the admin tool. So you can specify your preferred citations format. You can also export the citation, RIS format, RefWorks, EndNote, etc. You also have the add to project option there. So again, I can save this directly to my bowel cancer screening project and add that. Okay. And I'm not sure why it didn't do that. Okay. Try again. It may do it this time. If not, I'm not sure why. It's a demonstration account, probably why. Again, you can share the article. So if you found an article that you feel is useful for one of the nursing team, oncology department, etc., then you can share this. You can save it to OneDrive. You can create a link to it directly from here as well. And you can email the reference. Now, when it has PDF and online full text available, it will send both formats via email. There's also the download option. If you prefer to download this, then you can do so here. Obviously in PDF format, online full text. If you are looking at the metadata only, maybe for your document, your evidence search, then you can download this in Word format, BibTeX as well, or PDF and others. There's the print option there, still available. If you still want to prefer to read the hard copy, then you can print from here as well. And then we also have the text-to-speech software. So as I mentioned, with the new UI, you can actually listen to the audio file of this article being read, even though it's in PDF format. And you can download the MP3 file for this to listen offline. There is this accessibility support as well. So again, this is for support for users with disabilities. You can specify a preferred format. So for example, you go for Word or HTML. Okay. So again, you can respond there. Now, if I come out of this, I'm just going to go back to the list and just also highlight the online full text as well while we're here. Online full text. So this is the HTML version, and it has the same tools available with one exception. It has the translation option on the top right there. So this way you can translate this to another language. And typically I choose Gaeilge or Welsh. So I can choose something maybe different this time. So for example, you want to read this in Danish, Dansk, then you can do so. It will translate accordingly. And it works the other way around as well. So if you have other language articles, maybe you're not fluent in that language, maybe you do not know that language, but you want to check out the research, the publication, the article, then you can translate it into the appropriate language. Okay. And I will say that it is a machine translation, and it is provided by Microsoft, as you see there on the bottom right above my taskbar. So it's provided by Microsoft, and you can see numerous languages are now supported here. Okay, and it includes Gaeilge and Welsh as well. So that's just the full text. Also, you have varieties of that. You may have links to external websites as well through Link Resolver and so on. In terms of the results page then themselves, it's sorted by relevance. You can go for the most recent if preferred as well. And also in terms of processing these results, instead of saving them or bookmarking them, you can also export them as well. So we support up to 25,000 records. So I've got 700 plus here. So I can export them. You will need to be signed into my EBSCO, by the way, your personal user account for this. You can add an email address, others there, and choose the format. So I'll choose RIS or RIS format. Click send, and you get confirmation on screen that's been sent. So a link to download metadata has been sent to your inbox, and then you have 7 days to access that content. So you click on that link and you can extract it and import it into your preferred software. So we do support to 25,000 records there. Okay, let's see. So if you are looking to save the search itself, then you see the tools menu above the result list. You'll see save search. Again, by default, it will save it to the saved folder. So you can add this. So for example, Bell screening again. Okay, again, you got the query there, so you can copy that to the clipboard if you wish to use that. You can't paste that into a search box, and the subqueries are listed, and then you can save here. Okay, and it will confirm that it's been saved within my dashboard. And if we go out to that, you'll see saved, and then searches. So this one here. Okay, so again, I can move this to the project, add it to a project if I wish. I can go to search details, and I can change the name, etc. if I wish to do that. So I'm going to bring back the results again on screen. Okay, conscious of time here. So again, you can just go through the record list, select the individual records, or you can go in and select using the check boxes there, and then you can process them from this menu here and download. If you want to download, you can download in Word format if you wish, etc. So to download the metadata or PDF and so on. Okay. Also, before I forget, regarding searches, if we go to the saved folder for now, with the searches, if you've been constructing a search query, then you can, in fact, not here, I think it's within the recent activity. Yes. So with the search history, you can see you've got, these lines of searching here. If this was one search, for example, and I resorted to the oldest, then you can download the search here. Okay, so often we've been asked about Word. Can you download? Yes, you can download the search in Word. Now with Word, what it will do, it will basically put each set on a separate page. You may find which text format is better for that. So I click download here and view this file. I'll just do this quickly. I'll just drag this across and you'll see how that's displayed. Okay, so you'll see the different set numbers in this document. So it works slightly better than Word in the sense that it's collated more within the page rather than listing each set one page at a time. But of course, you can edit both formats as needed. So that's for downloading the search that you've created, etc. Okay, so I'm conscious of the time. So what I'm going to do now is click New Search here. By the way, we just run a Pico search for now, and then click Pico, and I'll run this one. So I will go for my Standard one, smoking. Okay, I could truncate, by the way, so for smokers, smoking, etc. I can add NRT here, nicotine replacement therapy, or I can go for these options as well, as you can see here, using quotation marks for exact phrase searching, using truncation to replace the words, the characters at the end. I can add a comparison, for example, acupuncture or acupressure. Again, truncation, that will pick up acupuncture as well as acupuncturist, the profession, the outcome, quality of life, and then time. We can add that if we wanted to. Oh, sorry, smoking cessation. This is okay. And if you want to make it more complex, you can feature the proximity search operators and near to. So that could be smoking cessation or cessation of smoking, etc., or quit smoking, and so on. So basically, you just use free text terms. You can use the syntax, the truncation. You can use wildcards, for example. We'll cover more of that in a future session, and the Boolean operators. And then you can add that to the search. So it presents it in the Boolean query in the search box, and then you can run the search there. So we have 30 references, and you can see the terms are highlighted here. And again, you go through the process of narrowing them down. So if you want to look at a reference, just go into the title and you see the data record. It tells us which journal it's published in, the data it's reviewing. You can see the author fields there, the source is linked, and you see the subheadings and the abstract below as well. Okay, now you've got the DOI here as well, so you can link directly to the article from the DOI as well within the Journal of Medicine, as you see there. So again, you've got the reference there. And of course, you can process this. You've got the save icon there. You've got the site tool, the add to project, share option as well. So for OneDrive, etc., email option, and then you can download from this page as well. Okay, so that is Pico. One more thing to show is the alerts feature. So if you want to be alerted to results for this search, then you can go to the tools menu, create the alert here, and then you can change the name here. So smoking cessation. I know someone had to leave earlier, so apologies, we've not covered all this in time so much. And then you can set this up with the frequency daily as the default, weekly or monthly. And then you can enter the address who it should go to, create the alert, and then that will be saved under the My Dashboards Alerts feature folder on the left. Okay. And then you can go in, edit that, view the results, or you can delete it if no longer required. The last thing, publications authority. Again, go back to publications. You can set up journal alerts as well. I'm just going to clear the screen so you can browse the publications. So we'll just go for subject this time. So subject and description, and I'll choose one of these journals. So we go for nursing science, for example, here. I can search within it. Now it's quite an old journal, so probably not a good example for alerts. Okay, let's go for, let's see, let's go for, let's just search for one here. Let's go for the World of Irish Nursing. Nursing. Okay, so it's now the World of Irish Nursing Midwifery. I select this journal. I can search within it. I can go to the website. I can browse the publications, or if preferred, I can just go to the tools menu, create the alert for this journal. See, it's the title there, and then I can just create the alert. So that's something you can do on behalf of users if you like. If you want to inform them, keep them current with what's out there in the literature, then you can do that for them. And of course, you maintain it within the alerts area. So if you are doing this on behalf of a user, then you're responsible for maintaining that. So it might mean you may need to just edit the alert, or possibly, and it will run for about up to 1 year. Of course, if they no longer want to require it, you can just go in and delete that. So you can extend it. So the default setting is to run for 1 year. You can go in and delete it if no longer required after a few weeks or a few months, as you see here. Okay, so I know I've covered quite a lot there, so I'm going to go to my PowerPoint. Some important things to highlight really before we finish. We do have the platform roadmap, release notes and support materials available. So the platform roadmap, where you can access it via ebsco.com/roadmaps, will give you access to the research platforms that's updated quarterly and often more frequently. That in turn will take you to the following page, where you can filter to EBSCOhost to view the latest changes or developments that have taken place in the coming month or so. So some things are due for release in October, other things will be coming in November, December, etc. So again, you can review that periodically, which I'm sure some of you already are. And we have the release notes as well. So again, these are on EBSCO Connect. So again, this is to provide more transparency, what's going on with EBSCO products and services. And we also have this page as well. So for those of you who are supporting systematic reviews, we are aware of this. Our product management teams are working tirelessly to enhance the interface so it's suitable or fit for purpose, as it were. But this document will tell you what's been released recently and what is coming soon that would be supportive of running systematic searches and so on. So again, there's a link there within the PowerPoint. This page just summarizes essentially some of the key changes that have happened and are happening with the interface as well. There is by the way, there is a interface insights newsletter which you can subscribe to as well. If you need information on that, I can provide that. So again, there's information on what's coming soon in relation to supporting advanced searching within CINAHL and Medline and so on. In terms of training support then, we do offer EBSCO Connect course. We've seen that today. And if you sign in as a user, if you request an account and sign into it, once you have that, you can also log cases, raise tickets with our support team if there's any technical issues that you have. If you work in NHS England, you have the service desk, the NHS service desk to go to first. We also provide EBSCO Academy, which lists videos, training materials as well, also upcoming training sessions provided by other trainers across the globe. And we do have a dedicated, here in the UK, a dedicated portal, the EBSCO Training Resources Portal, which lists upcoming training sessions, primarily related to healthcare databases, etc. So there are training videos and also upcoming sessions that are also listed within this site as well. And I have included 3 key documents for the new user interface you may want to explore in your own time as you prepare for migration in the future, if you've not done so already. So appreciate you staying the course, and obviously I'm here to take any more questions if there are any. So if you need to contact me directly, you can do so at rcrooks@ebsco.com. So again, we're running some more sessions. We've got another one already scheduled for early November, so there'll be more changes in the coming weeks. So we'll incorporate those into those sessions, and also ultimately we'll be providing some more advanced sessions as new features are added to the interface. Okay, so happy to stop here. Okay, thank you.